received from my friends, colleagues, and Kenyans since my nomination. I want to thank my family, particularly my children, one of whom is here today, whose name is here with me. Immensely contributed to who I am today. May his soul rest in peace. I also acknowledge the many friends, colleagues, recognition of me, but also a statement to the hopes and dreams of Kenyan and African women who have emerged as the central force in my social transformation. Honorable Chair, with your permission, allow me briefly to share my upbringing and background. To live full and impeccable life, raising 6 children with unwavering strength and serving faithfully in the church in various capacities for many years. She handled her grief with much dignity, embodied resilience with grace, and instilled in us enduring values of honesty, integrity, hard work, fairness, accountability, and above all, the deep fear for God. Her life remains wellspring of strength and inspiration to me. As I navigate my own journey, which now includes widowhood, I draw courage from her example, proof that even in face of profound loss, one can rise, rebuild, and live fully a meaningful life and serve others. I grew up in Game, in Siaya County, and in Migori, and I attended Ogande Girls High School in Homa Bay County. Later, I joined the Highland School in Eldoret for my A-levels before proceeding to the University of Nairobi for my Bachelor of Arts degree with education as option, specializing in geography, which exposed me to the environmental issues. After university, I taught geography and general paper at Highway Secondary School for 2 years, and later at Kenya High School for 13 years. I also served as education officer with the Ministry of Education in Jogo House. However, even as I focus on my career, I realized that being the partner of then a political activist and someone who would later be recognized as the father of democracy in Kenya, it came with very heavy price to pay. This including sacrificing my teaching career and having to raise my family single-handedly as a young mother for a long period of time, particularly in a hostile political environment. Much about it is in the public domain, so I don't want to dwell much about it. Honorable Chair and members, for most of my life, I have often found myself in peculiar spaces that needed bold voice, a voice to speak for those unable to speak for themselves, a voice of reason and reconciliation during critical make or break moments in our nation and in our continent. And just like the biblical example of Queen Esther, who did not stay silent but spoke out when it mattered and saved the whole nation, my life and work have been deeply affected by issues that inflict vulnerable populations across the great continent. I have done my best to speak out for them, all the platforms that have presented themselves to me. Allow me, Mr. Chairman, to mention a few of them. I have dedicated my life to advocating for empowerment of women in leadership. Founded the League of Kenya Women Voters, nominated in the creation of 47 women representative seats under the 2010 Constitution. Today, I'm humbled to serve as patron of the G7 Women Governors Advisory Council, working to retain and increase the number of elected women governors. Globally, I have participated in Commission of Status of Women since the historic Beijing Conference in 1995, a forum review and evaluate the implementation and advancement of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. I have equally been passionate about girls' education because I firmly believe it is the most powerful investment we can make in our future, and through that, through Odinga Trust, we champion initiatives such as Linda Kesho. This is a program which addresses the issues of teenage pregnancies and early marriages, and also in support of integrating the young mothers who had already left school to come back to school. I've had also been able to champion nutrition. In the year 2008 in New York, I hosted a high-level roundtable summit for First Ladies in Africa, effective solution and end maternal and child malnutrition, which led to the declaration to include nutrition as a global development agenda. I also spearheaded and launched the first African nutrition policy in Kigali, in Rwanda. I have been involved in several environmentally sustainable initiatives, including collaborating with the late Noble Lorraine Wangari Maathai and her Green Belt movement, and advocacy for such as tree planting. As a managing director of East Africa Spectre, an environmentally conscious clean energy company, I've championed the promotion, access to clean household energy solutions. Honorable Chair and members, how we manage or mismanage our environment will determine the quality of lives that we live. Through my work, I've seen devastating effects of environmental degradation, especially on vulnerable people in our society. There is lack and clear link between environment and our actions. Honorable Chair and members, I believe that this is a critical moment when we are presented with an opportunity to shape the future. And if approved by this esteemed committee, I intend to do my level best to help stop killing our planet. I will pursue every specific and set priorities. First, during the United Nations Environmental Assembly held last year, Kenya demonstrated leadership by sponsoring and guiding the passage of 3 significant solutions. These are: 1, promoting sustainability solutions through sports and resilient planet. Secondly, environmental sustainability of artificial intelligence system. And third, environmental dimension of antimicrobial resistance. These are critical, and to ensure effective and efficient achievement, I intend to establish core structures, such as specialized working groups, bringing together multiple stakeholders to partner and to do the implementation. Global leaders in climate action. 3 to 2027 seeks climatic positive growth by maximizing African energy potential, vast natural resources, and youthful workforce to drive this industrialization. I will be keen to advance this agenda, ensuring that Kenya and Africa interests are represented, and working together with other parties to see that the impact of these actions is not just high level, but reaching out the grassroots and impacting the constituency and most vulnerable population whose welfare have always worked to improve. Honorable Chair, in conclusion, allow me to reaffirm my deep conviction that the journey I have walked through service, leadership, advocacy has prepared me for this responsibility. Experience I've gained, the knowledge I've acquired, the skills I've sharpened, and above all, the passion and the inner resolve that guide me to have collective sharpened by readiness to serve and champion the interests of our nation. Not only our nation, but also the region with utmost dedication and integrity. Service to one's country is the highest calling any patriot can answer. Each of you, honorable members, has answered that call through your own service. And today, I'm equally prepared to answer that same call and committed to safeguard the environment sustainability upon which the future depends. To having conversation with you. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ida. Quite a detailed story of your life. I'll now allow members to ask you questions. As I do that, let me acknowledge the team that flanked you to give you support. You're most welcome. Feel comfortable. I'll start with Honorable Memusi, and then Honorable Kandie. You will take the two questions, respond to them, then we'll take another set of two questions.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, let me begin by congratulating Mama for her nomination. And Chair, I must say that we have vetted many nominees, but I've never seen a nominee coming up with the speeches and photos. This is very impressive. Congratulations. Having said that, Kenya has been positioning itself as a leader in carbon markets and innovative climate financing mechanisms, including participation in international tax and climate finance initiatives. What specific diplomatic, legal, and partnership-driven actions will you take at UNEP to, one, expand Kenya's participation in carbon markets and bilateral or multilateral carbon trading arrangements, and B, attract climate finance flows to Kenya and other developing countries, and lastly, ensure mechanisms comply with international standards while delivering measurable environmental and economic benefits? That's just one of formal questions. And an informal question, Mama, having listened to your background and knowing the kind of fight you have fought, a rural girl looking at you, watching you, a village girl who inspires, who has been inspired by you, who is thinking, how would I have ever achieve what Mama Ida has achieved? What would you tell this rural girl watching you from all corners in this country? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Hang on, Mama Ida. There is one more question, then you can respond to that.
Thank you, Chair. I want also to congratulate the nominee for the exemplary for the presentation she has given us However, I have one question. UNEP mandate increasingly links environmental sustainability with health, education, food systems, and social resilience. Areas reflected in your philanthropic work. How will you promote an integrated approach that aligns environmental diplomacy with Kenya's socio-economic development priorities and sustainable development goals, SDGs? Thank you, Chair.
You may respond to those three questions the way you understand them.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think these are very interesting questions. In fact, listening to his question, this is a question that have been asked very many times by young girls when I go to various schools to be with them and to mentor them. They always ask me, what can I do to be with you? The first answer to that question, be yourself, get education, because education is the key to further development. If you can do that, then heaven is the limit. You can go anywhere. And work hard. Don't forget issues of integrity, faithfulness, hard work, and all the things that go with it. Don't forget to pray in the morning when you wake up. Tell God, lead me to where I'm going to. And at evening, when you go to bed, thank God for the day that you've gone through. That's what I tell them. Listen to your elders. All those basic things will enable them to move higher. Now, the other question by the member up there, you are talking about mobilization. You are talking about what we'll do to sustain, to put Kenya in the global map, isn't it? I think I got you correct. Now, when it comes to that, in Kenya, we have our own standards, but Kenya is a part of the global community with those standards. We need to work hard, but we also need to mobilize our community and mobilize our resources. Don't forget, we can also mobilize resources outside Kenya. I'm a good mobilizer when it comes to mobilizing for resources. My social capital is quite high. As I do this job, I'll be thinking of Kenya, but I'll also mobilize to make sure that this work is done. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. will take two more questions. Members who came in, I'll allow you to introduce yourself, starting with you, Depan.
Thank you, and sorry for walking in late. My name is Anne Moratha, the County MP for Kiambu, and a member of this committee.
Okay, any other Honorable Mili? Yeah, you can ask you can ask a question and introduce yourself as you do that. Then you introduce yourself. That's what I said. You don't want to introduce yourself? It's okay. I'll introduce you. Please do that.
Chair, I think you didn't get me. First of all, my apologies for coming late. I wanted to introduce myself after, because I don't introduce myself briefly. As Suba people, we don't introduce ourselves briefly. My name is Emilio Diambo Mabona, Member of Parliament, Suba North, and Minority Chief Whip, and member of this committee. Chair, as part of my introduction, I don't have any question, but I just want to say the reason I don't have any question is because in law, we say res ispa, loquitur. The facts speak for themselves. Honorable Ida Odinga, aka Mama, is overqualified for this position. And indeed, I just want to also congratulate, I don't think in this committee or in this parliament we've ever seen this level of skill and expertise. But also, I just want to say that I hope this is the first step of greater conferment in this country for what Mama Ida has done for this country. I think it's a good step, but only a good first step. We are hoping for greater, much greater things coming our way for what she has done. I don't think many people understand what Mama has done for this country, what she has been, what she goes through every election cycle, stoically, and also with calm, resilience. And if you see even from a photo gallery, she works with everyone. So she's an ambassador by excellence. She's worked with every government, not questioning, not complaining. So she deserves. I have no question. And I wish you the best.
Those are your thoughts. I will allow any other member to ask question about Anne.
Maybe I would also first congratulate Mama on your appointment at this position. The other thing is that you came in very prepared, as local Kenyans would say, umetuzia uoga na tumenunua. By the way you presented yourself, tumenunua, and we really want to appreciate you and your appointment. But I just want to ask one question, that while you bring the extensive leadership experience, UNEP involves highly technical negotiations, and Kenya must also respond to international scrutiny regarding environment, governance, and enforcement challenges at home. How will you rapidly build the technical expertise necessary for these specialized negotiations, and at the same time project and defend Kenya's credibility as a responsible environmental steward on the global stage? And number two, I would want to ask how you intend to promote international cooperation on environmental issues, considering the Paris Agreement, which was a treaty aimed at mitigating climate change. Thank you.
It sounds like, and I have to caution members, it sounds like most of you are doing congratulations. This is a vetting exercise, and you will have an opportunity as a committee to do your congratulatory messages later if you do approve her. For this point, let's restrict ourselves to the vetting process. Ask the question. Mama Ida can take any question. She's prepared and well-versed with all your questions. I think at this point, let's just focus on asking the questions that we came to do. Honorable Yusuf.
Thank you, Chair. My question relates more to the place you would be going to represent us if we recommend and approve your nomination. And that's at the United Nations, one of the major United Nations branches or agencies. But as you know, the UN is facing a serious crisis at the moment. The Western countries, particularly the United States, which was the main anchor of the United Nations, is withdrawing. They have less resources, less support, particularly for climate change. And as a country which hosts the only United Nations agency dealing with environment in the global south, what actions would you take, and what kind of advocacy would you bring to your job to reverse this decline in the United Nations and to increase the resources for an agency like the an important agency like the United Nations Environment Programme?
Dr. You may respond to the questions. Some of those questions are almost similar. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member, for asking that question. I believe I'm not going to work alone. I'll not be alone. I'll be accompanied with various groups, with different skills, various experts, like you, for example, who have worked with the United Nations for a long time. I hope all these groups will come together to help, we work together to help in solving that particular problems. It is a problem that does not only face a country like Kenya, but it faces many countries, particularly in Africa. So I'm not worried about that, but I know that with the various disciplines that we have, we'll be able to solve that problem.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, congratulations, Mama, for the nomination. Now, you are transitioning into formal diplomacy. And you have basically been having a distinguished career in education, civil society, and private enterprise. And a number of public commentaries have questioned your readiness for the physical and technical demands for this role. What motivates you to take up this appointment at this stage? And how do you intend to demonstrate your professional, intellectual, personal capacity required to discharge the demanding responsibilities of Kenya's permanent representative to UNEP? Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's a very interesting question, because you've talked of the path that I've walked all these years. The common denominator there is leadership. And that leadership is what I intend to bring here in this job. The areas where I've worked, those areas have equipped me with a lot of knowledge on how to handle issues. Sometimes they're almost the same, because it will involve planning, it will involve executing, it will involve working with the people who are knowledgeable in those areas, evaluating your work, and eventually seeing if you can meet the target, the goals that you targeted. I think my journey has prepared me well for this job.
Thank you very much. I have a set of statutory questions that I will ask you for purposes of record before I can give you space to give us your final remarks. Number one is if you complied with the tax clearance. Kerry, is it a yes or no? Have you complied with the Kenya Revenue Authority for tax obligations?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Compliance with the DCI, Director of Criminal Investigation for police clearance?
Yes.
Clearance with the Higher Education Laws Board, University of Nairobi, where you are?
I have.
Register of political parties, compliance with the register of political parties, and clearance from EACC?
I have that too.
Have you ever been charged in a court of law or convicted? If yes, please provide further details. Have you ever been adversely mentioned in an investigatory or parliamentary report?
Not at all.
Do you hold dual citizenship, Mama Ida? do you hold dual citizenship?
Yes, I do.
Are you a Kenyan or do you have
I'm
another
a Kenyan
nationality?
citizen.
Okay.
I don't have dual citizenship.
Okay. The very uncomfortable question I don't like asking, but I have to ask you. What is your net worth?
My net worth, Mr. Chairman, this is a very interesting question because there are things that belongs to me, Ida, and then there are things that belongs to the family, the Odinga family, for whom I also have interest. But my net worth is about 500 million.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finally, I'll give you another round to give your closing remarks. We will listen to you, we know you, but just to speak to these members as you conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the questions you're asking me, first of all, about those compliance, I've compiled them here, and I would like to present them to you so that...
Sergeant or the clerk?
Yeah. They are all there. The original plus the copies that you can look at. You can find that.
Proceed. Your last remarks.
I'm very happy to have been here. I'm very happy to have met the committee. I think most of them are people I've heard of, some I've seen, some I've talked to, and I look forward to working in this capacity for which I'm being interviewed. I believe I have what it takes, and I hope to get it. But thank you very much for being here to interview me, and I hope to see you again in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mama Ida. This has been a nerving vetting exercise for me. First of all, because of the person that you are. You've done so much, like Honorable Millie did mention, to this country. And having you in front of us is extremely humbling. As a committee, we appreciate what you've done with this country, you and your family. And we continue to pray for you. Even after the loss of Baba, we wish God's grace. And we thank you. I hope this committee considers your nomination favorably. Thank you very much, and we wish you a nice weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, and may God bless you.
So I'll ask the members to stay behind for a few minutes. Well, thank you very much. You can now leave at your pleasure. Or shall I say you have to leave now?